Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. What's up, y'all? This is Storm Petoskey coming at you here with another episode of Getting Stoned. Yes, indeed. Here we are on a rainy day. At least it's raining where I am. Yeah, got soaked in a few drops just a few minutes ago. So we are most grateful to be here. I appreciate all y'all. I want to say thank you so much for hitting that play button on this show of mine. It's quite a blessing to be here. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Sending all y'all lots of love and positivity and the good vibrations. Because that's how it is, above and beyond everything and anything else that might be going on in this crazy fucking mad world we living in. We always got to remember to be grateful. The opportunities that are given in a human lifetime are mighty precious and rare. So I'm always one for remembering the fact that I woke up today, and that was a blessing indeed. We never know how many days we're going to get. So I'm giving thanks for each one when they arrive. Yeah. So I wasn't even sure what I was going to do today, but I just was glancing at this 33 Myths of the System book that I've read several chapters of. So we now at the myth of progress is what this one's called. So I don't know, we might dive on into this. We'll see. Check it out. It's a little bit longer, but we'll start in on it anyway and see where it leads us. The Myth of Progress from 33 Myths of the System by Mr. Darren. We are told that there is no progress without the system, and that the system leads to innovation, efficiency, convenience, and rising standards of living. This is why the poor old feudal peasant runs gratefully into the arms of the modern factory, and why turning away from the advanced technocratic system would necessarily lead to cholera, TB, the bubonic plague, 45 hellish years behind a plow, or brutalist architecture in Ladas. Turning again to the real world, we have progressed our way into a culture with the durability and beauty of a flat pack. Chipboard shed hastily erected on an asteroid that is hurtling into the sun. A shrinking minority existing in a shrinking pleasure bubble of artificial calm, intellectual order, and spectacular distraction can convince themselves and a few of their privileged salaried employees that everything is fine, while a growing mass rapidly descend into, at best, a state of miserable, numbed fear, at worst, an existential nightmare of schizoid horror. Capitalism may be able to delay the coming annihilation of our civilized systems for a few moments more by inflating the value of assets held by the hyper-rich, official term financialization, gambling, official term speculation, exponentially increasing usurious indebtedness, official term extending credit, exploiting global labor in an unheard of extent, official term outsourcing, stealing from the poor, official term austerity, or liquidizing their assets, throttling their consumption and making them dependent on state handouts, official term lockdown. But more and more people can feel that the shadow of death is descending on us all. With every terrorist strike, every horrendous famine, every punishing blow of nature's fist, every new totalitarian lockdown law, we feel the future shocks ripple through us, And as time goes on, more and more we'll see these feelings for what they are. World dread. Not that over the past few thousand years or so, we haven't discovered how to make things that can genuinely serve human beings. Plows, printing presses, ball bearings, morphine, vulcanized rubber, tinned tomatoes, and trumpets. But none of these things were brought to you by the system. It wasn't the system that built your house or produced your food, but nature and labor. The work of life and of ordinary people, upon which sits the swelling abscess of management, subordinating all activity to its own ceaseless end, as the economy is now entirely dominated by speculation, financialization, and in debt bubbles, increasingly ephemeral growth. Capitalism made your laptop, apparently. The dishonest fiction that a tiny class of exploiting owners is responsible for the work of nature and of labor is not mentioned. The routine conflation of capitalism or socialism or whatever with production, by which the owners of land and labor, those people who use others to generate wealth, are always referred to as producers, cannot fit onto a car sticker or in a tweet. And the idea that perhaps we don't need laptops or the internet cannot be heard outside of a psychiatric hospital. Imagine if, using the technologies then available, the same efforts and resources had gone into giving the world what the internet and high-power personal computing now provide us with. Such a world might have a massively well-stocked library in every town, connected via an extremely efficient interloan system to a national or international network. Every town might have an equally well-provisioned concert hall with thousands of high-quality instruments free to borrow or cheaply to buy. And a veritable army of singing coaches, slap bassists, and music theorists hanging around. Each town might have easy access to 4 cinemas and a well-funded film industry able to take all kinds of risks on new talent. We might have a postal service that collects and delivers 5 times a day. We might have improvised theater groups, clay pigeon shoots, playgrounds so fun adults use them, large areas of wilderness, local printing processes, a panoply of art studios, a veritable forest of vinyl, and, strangest of all, actual social networks. Although returning to the world we recently left would need an unprecedented slackening of the late capitalist imperative, and although it might not be capable of undoing the market, much less the system, completely, I put it to you that it would be a better place to live than the, quote, connected virtual spaces which we are now forced to inhabit. The internet and high-powered computing do not give us anything qualitatively new, and they do not solve the problems of humanity. They solve the problems of the system. The same can be said of cars, planes, high-speed rail, container ships, electric blankets, air conditioning, central heating, antidepressants, power brooms, string trimmers, smartphones, microwave ovens, professional toothbrushes, and Hydromax 3 Elite razors, none of which we need, and most of which have been a curse to humankind. When a tool or a network of tools passes beyond a finite limit of complexity, power, or speed, it ceases serving its users, who must expend more time, energy, or attention in maintaining it than they save through its use. The technology or system becomes autonomous and self-reinforcing, subordinating all activity to its growth, including the activities and priorities of its nominal creators, owners, and managers. The needs of humans become irrelevant unless they are in service of the mechanism. Thus, high-speed transport slows us down, labor-saving devices make us work harder, smartphones make us more stupid, hospitals make us sicker, centralized agriculture enslaves us, human skill gives way to, at best, operative confidence, and the closer the virtual world gets to reality, the more the real world becomes unreal. The monolithic technical system that dominates the world subordinates all other values and systems, left or right. Another reason why it is misleading to speak of capitalism, or perhaps Americanization, which is actually in service to an all-dominant technicalism. The technophile replies that standards of living are rising and poverty is decreasing. Such arguments are too shallow to seriously consider, but even aside from what progress actually means in the world we actually live in, the oceans of misery upon which the fitted kitchens float, it is quite possible for standards of living to rise while exploitation worsens. Standards of living rose during slavery, during Hitler's Germany and Stalin's Russia. Rising standards of living doesn't justify slavery, fascism, and communism, yet is routinely presented as the reason why we must accept hyper-dependence on our disabling, monomaniacal, technocratic system. The concept of rising standards of living conceals a number of unspoken assumptions which never quite make it to the TV. Could higher standings of living end up obstructing or harming our physical health, mental well-being, conviviality, access to nature, autonomy, or life purpose? Can we live happily, well, with no rise in standards of living? Did pre-civilized people have a high standard of living? Have the nature of our standards changed over time? Do the benefits of antibiotics, plastics, television, smartphones, or even alphabets, plows, and optical lenses outweigh the costs they inevitably conceal? Does a rising standard of living in one part of the world entail suffering elsewhere? Have we become the tools of our tools? Are human beings becoming superfluous to requirements? The answer to all of these questions is likely to be yes, but serious investigation of them is well off the agenda. We are progressing. The past was evil, and that is that. Technicalism prefers to tell us only of the short, brutal lives lived by medieval peasants and pre-civilized tribes, and of the marvelous benefits of modern technology, particularly of professional medicine, conveniently omitting the fact that changes in public health occur through changes in the environment, and that where technology improves general health, it is nearly always implemented despite the medical profession, not because of it. Somehow we never hear that pre-modern people had enormous amounts of free time, free access to common resources, and a healthy attitude towards death, madness, work, and nature. And we never hear that pre-civilized people were happy, healthy, long-lived, and free, and their societies egalitarian, non-coercive, and peaceful. And we never hear of the impoverishment, sickness, stress, violence, inequality, and seismic discontent that the agricultural and industrial, quote, revolutions brought to men and women, unless the victims are those of official enemies. We hear our one crude, brutalizing narrative that history is a ladder, that education is a ladder, that career is a ladder, that technology is a ladder, that knowledge is a ladder. And there is only one sane direction: up and up and up and up and up, infinitely. With every new rung, we get a little more power or a little more dopamine, and a lot more dependence on the ladder, which provides us with these things, which is why less or lower are greeted with such horror. Who but a madman would suggest less schooling, less energy, less speed, less education, less medicine, less technology, less growth, less money, less knowledge, a lower score. Ha! The sane progress, develop, grow, build, learn, innovate, and invest. They are forward-looking, forward-thinking, and forever and ever, in their own words, going forward. The same can be said of cancers, which also put progress above every other concern. But connecting the two is in the diabolic realm of the irrational, the childish, the utopian, for defenders of the system. Imagine, though, how a university-educated cancer would justify its priorities to a healthy cell, even as it consumed the body it depends on for its very existence. Just as cancer is bound to the destruction of the body, so the technocratically fueled market which runs society is bound to the destruction of that society. First of all, by rigidly controlling commodified land and labor, then in the spirit world of late capitalistic financialization, transferring every aspect of nature and society into mechanized business concerns. Immense sums of financialized easy money, well, easy for the rich, that is, incentivize the hyper-wealthy to invest in speculative or rent-earning rather than productive, creative, or convivial activities, to plunder state assets without having to worry about paying any kind of price for destroying the lives of the now helpless unrich, and to engage in outrageous, stupendous levels of fraud and corruption, money laundering, shadow banking, tax evasion, and so forth. In order to deal with the chaos which results, technocrats and economists attempt to eradicate all, quote, non-rational elements in society. All mystery, all wilderness, all independence, all truth, all dissent, and all freedom. The system, in other words, is bound to what we would now call totalitarianism and fascism. Technicalism, like the addicts to the narco porn it manufactures, only understands more of the same. Different and better are as unfathomable to a technocratic system as love is to a laptop. When there is more than enough of the same, the system begins, like all drugs, to take more than it gives, unless those from whom it takes find themselves completely powerless before its needs, forced to continually sacrifice whatever instincts they have for better and different to a now all-powerful totalizing dealer. And this is why the most rational supporters of the market immediately take up with fascists as soon as they gain enough power, and why rational liberals and moderates, after the initial uproar, end up uprooting their principles. And while complaining of being overwhelmed by public stupidity and the poor taste of megalomaniacs, continue towing the line. And why everyone in power, despite lip service to whatever Green's initiatives or flavor of the month, always serves the technosphere. If you are part of the system, you have no choice. Your only choice is to not be part of it. Likewise, modern fascists and the far right criticize the system, or capitalism, while embodying its quintessence, which is why the system always does so marvelously well under dictatorships. Sure, minorities are exterminated, dissidents vanquished, and the natural world reduced to dust. But these are all small prices to pay for stability, strength, and progress. This is why it is stupendously futile to attempt to reform the system, to change its tech, its laws, or its leaders. It may be interesting and of some limited use to identify the influence of this or that organization or individual has over the world. But until the entire system is seen for what it is and completely rejected, there can be no meaningful change, any more than changing a king can make any real definite difference to monarchism. Yeah. The myth of progress. Yeah, Darren Allen. I always appreciate that, brother, when I come across it and get a little taste of that medicine. You know, people who understand how the nuts and bolts of this system that we are currently living under the boot of, I've always found when folks can break that down in a easily understood and digestible manner like he can, while it might be a hard pill to swallow, I do believe that having that understanding is better than being ignorant of it. I'll just say that. Yeah. Hey, what do you say, man? I want you to look. There's somebody standing next to you or sitting next to you. I just want you to take a moment. I just want you to turn to them. I want you to look at them. And, you know, if it's a total stranger, just gentle gaze of communion. It's fine. If it's someone you know, someone you love, tell them that. Say, hey, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you're here in this world, that you're my friend, that you're my partner, that you're my wife or my husband or my daughter, my friend, whatever the case may be. Just tell them. Yeah. Just let it come from the heart. It's like I said, you never know, man. Today, we got this one. Right on. So let's read a poem or two. This brother, his name is Billy Collins. He's a brilliant poet. Just I don't know. I'm not going to talk so much about him. I just love reading this stuff. So we'll just pick a couple and read them here. Pin-up. The murkiness of the local garage is not so dense that you cannot make out the calendar of pin-up drawings on the wall above a bench of tools. Your ears are ringing with the sound of the mechanic hammering on your exhaust pipe, and as you look closer, you notice that this month's is not the one pushing the lawnmower, wearing a straw hat and very short blue shorts. Her shirt tied in a knot just below her breasts. Nor is it the one in the admiral's cap, bending forward, resting her hands on a wharf piling, glancing over the tiny anchors on her shoulders. No, This is March, the month of great winds. So appropriately, it is the one walking her dog along a city sidewalk on a very blustery day. One hand is busy keeping her hat down on her head, and the other is grasping the little dog's leash. So of course there is no hand left to push down her dress, which is billowing up around her waist, exposing her long, stockinged legs, and yes, the secret apparatus of her garter belt. Needless to say, in the confusion of wind and excited dog, the leash has wrapped itself around her ankles several times, giving her a rather bridled and helpless appearance, which is added to by the impossibly high heels she is teetering on. You would like to come to her rescue, gather up the little dog in your arms, untangle the leash, lead her to safety, and receive her bottomless gratitude. But the mechanic is calling you over to look at something under your car. It seems that he has run into a problem, and the job is going to cost more than he had said and take much longer than he had thought. Well, it can't be helped, you hear yourself say as you return to your place by the workbench, knowing that as soon as the hammering resumes, you will slowly lift the bottom of the calendar just enough to reveal a glimpse of what the future holds in store. The red polka dot umbrella of April, and her upturned palm extended coyly into the rain. See how I'm saying with Billy, man? He can. It's like he tells these stories. I mean, as all poets do. His way of bringing you into the world is beautiful. All right, let's read one more here. This one is titled Shoveling Snow with Buddha. In the usual iconography of the temple or the local walk, you would never see him doing such a thing, tossing the dry snow over the mountain of his bare round shoulder, his hair tied in a knot, a model of concentration. Sitting is more his speed, if that is the word for what he does or does not do. Even the season is wrong for him. In all his manifestations, it is not warm. Is it not warm and slightly humid? Is this not implied by his serene expression, that smile so wide it wraps itself around the waist of the universe? But here we are, working our way down the driveway, one shovelful at a time. We toss the light powder into the clean air. We feel the cold mist on our faces. And with every heave, we disappear and become lost to each other in these sudden clouds of our own making, these fountain bursts of snow. This is so much better than a sermon in church, I say out loud. But Buddha keeps shoveling. This is the true religion, the religion of snow and sunlight and winter geese barking in the sky. I say, but he is too busy to hear me. He has thrown himself into the shoveling snow as if it were the purpose of existence, as if the sign of a perfect life were a clear driveway you could back the car down easily and drive off into the vanities of the world with a broken heater fan and a song on the radio. All morning long, we work side by side, me with my commentary and he inside the generous pocket of his silence. Until the hour is nearly noon and the snow is piled high all around us. Then I hear him speak. After this, he asks, can we go inside and play cards? Certainly, I reply, and I will heat some milk and bring cups of hot chocolate to the table while you shuffle the deck and our boots stand dripping by the door. Ah, says the Buddha, lifting his eyes and leaning for a moment on his shovel before he drives the thin blade again deep into the glittering white snow. Billy Collins. Thank you, brother. This is from his collection, Sailing Alone Around the World. Yeah. All right, let's do a tune. Let's see what we can make of this here. All right. It's gonna be like a slow jam. All right. Diamonds on a ring of gold. You say you want the story to remain untold. All the promises we made from the cradle to the grave, and all I want is you. You say you give me a highway with no one on it, a treasure just to look upon it, all the riches in the night. You say you give me eyes and morning blindness, or if I in the time of dryness, oh, harbor in a tempest, all the promises we made from the cradle to the grave. When all you want your love to work out right, to last with me all through the night. You say you want diamonds, a ring of gold. Your story ain't to remain untold. Your love not to grow cold. All the promises we break, from the cradle to the grave, when all I want is you. That was a little YouTube jam. I appreciate you stopping on by, sending lots of love and light, positivity, peace, contentment, all that good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, y'all, this is Storm Vataski saying peace.